business is not mainly for profit, it is only for profit. So I thought that as long as I teach, I am the limiting factor and the business will never grow. So first thing I should do is I should stop teaching. I always say that indispensability is the biggest myth. Some parents were coming and complaining that because you people are starting lectures timely, my child is missing out first half an hour.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Dhanda Insights podcast. We have with us today someone who is a visionary, someone who is synonymous with commerce education in India. I'm here today with Mr JK Shah, who's the founder of JK Shah Classes based out of Mumbai and now all over India. This is an institute which has over 41 years of legacy. I can bet you there is no other institute in India which has such a long legacy and a name that is synonymous with CA preparation in India. I'm so excited for the conversation today simply because we are going to speak about his legacy. How did he go about building his empire, the challenges, the achievements, and what does coaching business and education business in India look like? Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, for this opportunity. I'm so happy.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, and before we start, like a big shout out to our friend Kushal Lodha who facilitated this. He's been a dear friend to both of us, and we're
Yes.
glad we are doing this. So thank you so much, Kushal.
Yes,
for that.
absolutely.
Yes. Sir, as I was telling you, right, for me, the first instance of JK Shah Classes was the bus advertisement where I saw, we taught your parents and now it's your turn. What that very subtly says is it's a legacy.
Yes.
Now, how does a boy from Gujarat who didn't have the means goes on to become a household name in Mumbai? What I want to understand from you is what are circumstances of your childhood that shaped you into who you are and you think helped you achieve what you have achieved?
So, when you say the beginning from a small village and now a company, but it's not directly from village to this stage.
Correct.
It's a gradual process. So many factors worked in a way that poverty, the background, many people take that as negative factor. For me, it worked positively. How? Because I had nothing. I had nothing to lose as well. So I had the luxury of trying out, experimenting, without worrying about the consequence, because it can't get any worse than where I was, So I experimented. Of course, the education, the people I came in touch with, the learnings from all those people, chartered accountancy, articleship, all those things taught me a lot. But definitely it was a gradual process which brought us where we are today. And as for that bus creative, I consider that as one of the best advertisement creatives that I ever made.
Wow.
I must tell you, almost all advertisements of JK Shah Classes almost always were entirely drafted by me.
Oh, really?
And the one that I like the most is this one only. Like, we taught your parents.
Yeah.
Now it is your turn.
Correct.
It was a huge message. It worked very well.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Very nice. It's surprising to know that you were involved in like the marketing, message and communication
Yes.
also, which perhaps meant you were very involved in every process. What is the, say, overall positioning and, communication that goes out, and that's very nice to hear as well.
You see, as a proprietor, you only know what is your business, what are your plus points,
Yeah.
and what are the minus points of the competitors. So we never highlight the minus points of competitors, but we highlight our plus points.
Yeah.
So that only proprietor would know what will work, what will not work, and so on.
Nice. Very nice. And I actually want to turn back the wheel of time. I want to take you to 1983 when you started, but perhaps slightly before that as well, like the early 1980s when, say, perhaps, you were doing articleship, studying in Mumbai, right? To me, of course, I was not born in the 80s, but to me, the description of Mumbai is, oh, it's the land of underworld. You know, it's like मुंबई माया नगरी है. तो थोड़ा आप उस टाइम की मुंबई को अगर डिस्क्राइब करोगे कि आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा था एंड हाउ दैट changed the course of your life, I think that would be very helpful.
Oh, it was wonderful city that time actually.
Okay.
Much less population, hardly any traffic, hardly any signals.
Oh, wow.
Very few cars, buses, very few people. No television practically, or in one building there would be one television. All people would assemble every Wednesday evening. Only one telephone, in entire building. It was wonderful life, wonderful life. As for the underworld part you are saying, that is part of every city, every society. It was there, it must be right now also somewhere. But that doesn't affect common people at all.
Okay.
It never affects, no.
You're away from it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Got it. And from a living condition perspective, like I remember you lived with your cousins, so like a couple of courses, and like just did odd jobs to sustain yourself. So speak a little about that struggle also from the 80s.
So you see, when I came to Mumbai, I had to join hostel here. But before hostel would admit me, there was time gap of maybe about a month or so. So I stayed with my with my cousin rather, at his home. Then I joined hostel. And then I studied. See, right from 5th standard up to final C, I studied in hostel only. But vacation time would be a challenge, like where to go.
Okay.
So there I used to go to my cousin's place in Mumbai. There were 2 cousins, one in Kandivali and one in Mulund. So I used to go there only. Yes.
Okay. Got it. And if we speak about your start, right? I read you used to take the 5:51 a.m. local
Yes.
from Borivali to start your classes on time at Grant Road. And from what I know, you've never started your classes late, right?
Absolutely.
In the 29 years of teaching that you did. From 7 students in your first class to I think over 75,000 students today.
Yes, yes.
What would you consider like milestones in this journey? Like from there to here, you mentioned it's a gradual journey. What are specific elements that you remember? Perhaps like the first classroom, the first large classroom, an office space. Like how would you classify your milestones over the years?
So as you rightly said, it is always a gradual process. Like the first classroom I purchased was a very small one. Before that I had taken on rental. The rental classroom was from the same coaching class where I was first a student.
Oh.
And then I joined as a professor also, Usha Commerce Classes.
Okay.
In fact, most people leave a coaching organization in a violent way.
Correct.
Spoiling everything with an intention to destroy the organization. That I never ever thought even. So I got my first classroom on rental from the very coaching class where I was student and then professor also.
Wow.
And I continued to use that classroom for 22 long years, by the way.
Oh.
But in the meantime, I purchased my own classroom thereafter.
Correct.
A small cabin was there inside the classroom only. Some of the people watching this interview would be able to recollect this also. In the small corner, there was one small cabin. Today, they would come to know that that small cabin was office during daytime and my bedroom during night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In that small cabin only I was staying in the night.
Wow.
So from there, then one more classroom, still one more. Then we opened one more branch, Andheri. Then still one more branch, Ghatkopar. So it went on that way. But Gaurav, I'll tell you, right up to 2012, or rather 2010, we had only 4 branches.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
2010, first outstation branch we opened. By the way, in your city, Bangalore.
Okay.
Yeah. Second one in Ahmedabad in 2012. Until then, I used to teach also. So thereafter, I stopped teaching. And I converted that into an advantage. How? When I was teaching, all students would first ask, JK Shah will teach or not?
Correct.
Then only they would join.
Correct.
No way I'm implying that I was indispensable or that only I could teach. That's not my monopoly. All could have done and can still do, but student psychology.
Correct.
So I thought that as long as I teach, I am the limiting factor and the business will never grow.
Wow.
So first thing I should do is I should stop teaching. I stopped teaching inter CA way back in 2005 only, but final CA I continued. 2012 or 13 I stopped that as well. And all other branches. So currently we must be having about 100 branches. So if you minus 5 from them, 95 branches we set up after I stopped teaching.
Wow.
Many teachers and many human beings always feel if they don't do it, what will happen to the
Correct.
business?
Correct.
I always say that indispensability is the biggest myth. Everybody is replaceable.
Wow.
If you plan it, then replacement happens according to your vision. And if you don't plan, the other side will plan for you.
Wow.
That will be end of your career and your organization as well. So it has happened gradually. Even outstation I was new, first branch 2010. For 2 years no more branches. I learned the trick how to do it. One thing that was always believed and still is being believed, that this physical classroom coaching is not a scalable model at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Gaurav, one thing that I've done always is to challenge the impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, in your own subtle way, you find out how to make it happen. So first we went to Bangalore, studied for 2 years. I learned the trick. And second branch we opened only in 2012 in Ahmedabad.
Correct.
Then I was reasonably well placed. So then in next 6-7 months we opened 3 more branches.
At once.
Yeah. So we took maybe 28 years to open first outstation branch. Then 2 years second branch. But then few months for 3 more branches. Then it started like initially, even now also arithmetic progression
Yeah.
with greater and greater number of branches every time. So everything is doable, but you have to have clear vision. You must have clarity first about what you want to achieve, and then figure out the way and go all out to make it happen. So it's a gradual 7 students to 75,000. It looks like something unachievable, but it has happened over a period of time, and responding to every adverse situation timely, sometimes taking preventive actions, sometimes repairing the situation if situation has gone bad. So it's a process that we followed, but with clear-cut vision of what we wanted to achieve.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think very subtly, you mentioned how succession planning should happen, right? You mentioned a lot of times people feel that they are indispensable or they know how to run it the best. But you very subtly said that you took like a proactive measure to figure that if you are the limiting factor, how do you step yourself a little away and build a system that can scale?
Yes.
And very subtly you said like change is going to happen, but if you are the one driving the change, it will happen at your terms versus the other party,
Yes.
because they would anyways drive the change, not happening as per you.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of times that tussle between say like first and second generation of like business, wherein say like first generation of business has built and set it up, second generation is coming up who's trying to scale it, but there is always that different ways of work, right? What I want to double click on is you also mentioned your kids are also involved with running the business, right? Is there a particular timeline around when they joined and they said that, hey, let us go outside of Mumbai? And what is good is you built a playbook that, okay, we'll study Bangalore for 2 years, understand thoroughly and only then scale. So is there some kind of overlap when like the next generation joined in the business and together you thought, okay, now it's time to take JK Shah classes to outside of Mumbai?
No, actually, I'll tell you why. My children, like my daughter joined only in 2019
Okay.
and my son joined only in 2020. So at
Oh.
that time, the business had matured to a great
Correct,
extent.
correct.
It was system driven. So all my children had to do, not to say that it was easy. After nothing is easy,
Of course.
and nothing is difficult. It depends on how you handle. But sort of they had to run the show. It was a running train they
Correct.
could get to catch. They had to ensure that now the train runs well.
Yeah, it doesn't derail, doesn't
Yes,
deviate from
all
the
those
track.
things, yeah.
Got it,
So major job was done when they joined the business.
got it.
And once they learnt, I really clearly decided not to interfere much, give them freedom, watch them doing it, allow them to make mistakes also,
Yeah.
so that they can claim the ownership of whatever they have been doing.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say since last 2-3 years, I practically go to my office maybe twice a week or thrice a week.
Oh,
The business is entirely run by them only now. I'm definitely playing some strategic role, largely symbolic role, and it is going on.
wow.
Yeah.
And how has the business scaled in the past 4-5 years after they've joined in?
After they joined in the beginning, it was normal pace, but you might be aware, like Veranda invested in JK Shah Classes. Thereafter, the speed increased like anything
Wow.
because completely children have been in charge, and they are getting to learn lot many things which their father could not have taught. Only the outsiders could have taught. The system, how to fit into corporate life. The entire horizon was opened up because of Veranda.
Wow.
So that helped them a lot. Like as long as I was active up to 2022 or so, we had 74, 75 centers. In just 1.5 years, Vishal and Pooja added 26 more centers.
Wow.
So I took so many years to come up to 74 or so.
Correct.
But they took only 1.5 years
To do
to have
30% of it.
26 more.
Yeah.
So they had a challenge also,
Of
like
course.
how to continue to take this legacy forward and so on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, opportunity also, that you don't have to do from the scratch,
Yeah.
but ensure that you don't kill it after all.
Yeah.
So there were challenges, there were opportunities. I was watching them. I knew if at all they would falter, I would hold their hand.
Got it.
But until then, they
Let
had the
them
freedom
run.
to do it,
Yeah.
and they are doing it very well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I'm glad when you say this because every parent, of course, watches their child, and if they're about to fall, they would go and sort of, hold them up. And you've given them that space and freedom to actually grow. A question, because right now you are in the hyper expansion phase, if I may say so, right? From 74 going to close to 100, that's like a 30% increase in just barely 18 months. How do you ensure, even when you scale, quality doesn't dilute? And that also ties back a little to how you've been able to run the business for such a long time, right? Like, I'm pretty sure quality must be one thing that you would have taken care of. So speak to us a little about the philosophy around this.
So, quality, see, first time students would come maybe looking at the brand name. But thereafter, the repeat customer comes or the referral will happen
Yeah.
only if you have made your first student satisfied.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it won't happen.
Correct.
And that has been our philosophy right from beginning, that you have to deliver a good quality education.
Correct.
Business is not mainly for profit, it is only for profit. But not profit by hook or by crook. Profit comes as a byproduct,
Yeah.
though that is your main objective. You do something whereby you help out the other side, profit will follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before they get into the class and start
Of course, yeah. It's not that you are qualified as chartered accountant, so
Yeah.
tomorrow you have first lecture. Not at all. Not at all.
Wow.
In fact, one undergoes minimum 1.5 to 2 months rigorous training
Oh.
in every department. So we take demos, we give them demos, we make them sit in the classroom and watch other professors lecture. We give them recorded lectures. In the demos, we ask them toughest questions, some stupid questions, which students may ask sometimes,
Correct.
and we grill the person. We make him perfectly fit for the platform. That is one thing. Then there is a launching technique also. Like we launch a new faculty, one with very easy chapter, and two small batch, less demanding batch. And we make him or her repeat the same thing 3 4 times in the week only in different batches.
Okay.
So selecting the professors, training them, then technique to put them in various branches and batches, selecting the chapter, and eventually they become very successful people. So the whole process, when new faculty delivers first lecture, students would never come to realize that this was first lecture of that faculty. Plus we have a wonderful internal exam system. So before the student actually writes CA exam, we make him or her go through the same situation number of times.
Okay.
We make it look like CA exam is just one more JK Shah exam. So much used to that.
Nice.
Fear factor is gone. The speed increases.
Correct.
The person comes to know where he or she makes mistakes.
Correct.
So all these steps cumulatively have helped us thriving and keeping our slot at the top
Wow.
on a continuous basis.
Wow.
Yes.
Sir, and I must congratulate you because the way you described it, I think there are different parts, right? One is on the faculty side, one is on the student side. You've identified different phases, like, there should be this kind of training. There is that initial launch phase of a particular teacher, and then there is, of course, regular teaching. You've defined a system and sort of simulated the environment so well for the teachers that any new person you put in the system, as you said, like they may have the knowledge as a chartered accountant, they go through this and then they're ready to teach. On the student front, you mentioned you've simulated the exam environment, and because, say, a lot of times anxiety and fear issues may lead to like bad results, you've taken that away to some extent, so you continuously also deliver like good outcomes. So what I'm looking at, and perhaps the insight for me here is, you've identified different parts, you've perfected the playbooks, and that's how you've been able to scale across so many cities and branches. Interesting. I want to spend the next 5 minutes as somebody who is, say, from a city like Nasik, Rajkot, Indore, who thinks that even I want to start my coaching institute, right? So I want to spend the next 5 to 7 minutes with you on very fundamental ways in which I can look at it as a business as well, right? Because if I have to scale, and as you mentioned, profits is the only way to scale, right? But that doesn't mean you're unethical or do it by hook or crook, right? Let us start top down. When you look at, say, any new city that you were to launch in, right? How do you identify and calculate the market potential in this? So let's start from there and then I'll dig deeper.
So first we identify the city. Then we conduct study like what is the market size first of all. How many commerce students are there? Currently how many of them are interested in CA coaching? Of course now it is not only CA, we offer all commerce courses.
Correct.
Then we look at the state of competition. The bigger the competitor, better it is for us. Because bigger competitor means there is a good market.
Oh, okay.
Now we only have to deliver. We don't have to create the market. Market is there. Right?
Nice.
So we look at the competitors, how many students they are getting. Then we also study by interviewing students of that market. Like we don't tell them anything like what we are,
Correct.
but what problems they face while attending classes, what better could be done, and so on. And then we try to be solutions to those problems, at least at the time of launch, so that there is clear-cut line of demarcation between competitors and us. We have never tried to be like them, because then they are already there.
Correct.
We have no room there.
Correct.
We have to differentiate ourselves. We have to do something different. And that has always worked. We never criticize our competitors.
Yeah.
We tell our professors also never to do it. Talk about our plus points. And that is how it works.
Nice.
In different markets, you see wherever we go, there were already some competitors.
Correct.
But in most of the markets, we have become number one now. I wouldn't say all. There are 3-4 markets where we are still not number one. Somewhere not even number 2-3 also. It happens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it happens. But substantially, we have succeeded in becoming number one. Where we have not become number one yet, like Chennai, for example, yes, we are trying our level best. Surat, we have not become number one still. After 10 long years, we are doing everything. We respect our competitors, but continuously we try to figure out what better can be done. And interestingly, most of the times we speak to the students, the common problem they say that no lecture starts timely, sudden cancellation happens, syllabus is not completed. Now these are easiest problems to solve actually.
Nice.
And I wonder how come these people have carried on this way for so many years. Even for want of competition they survive. So most of the times, these are the changes we had to make.
Correct.
And plus JKC brand name, past results, it did the trick. Of course, because of us, so many competitors got disciplined automatically. Some started changing before even they came to know we were entering. Good thing for students.
Of course,
Good
yeah.
thing for students.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the insight that I'm getting from this, right? You speak to a lot of students in that city. You identify, okay, what are different pain points that they have, and what is the solution that you could give to them. Now imagine I am a 23, 24-year-old who is a CA, and I'm passionate about teaching. And say I want to start a coaching class in a city like Nasik, right? While of course JK Shah, because of its legacy, has a certain name. But if you were to advise me that how should I think about, should I just start with say CA Foundation or launch Foundation Inter Final all together? Should I launch just one group coaching or like both group coaching? Like once I've identified there is a market, how would you say I go about launching it?
See, without exception, always we have started new branch in a new city with CA Foundation only.
Okay.
That's the grassroots level exam. That is where we start.
Okay.
And once we deliver there, those students become our inter-CA students. Almost in a month's time thereafter.
Correct.
Because result time is only 1.5
Correct.
months. Then for final CA, we wait for 2 years. When our inter-CA students become eligible for final,
Okay.
only that time we launch final.
I see how these, I mean, for the lack of better word, like existing customers that you have, if you serve them well, they'll go on to the next level, which is inter and then
Yeah,
eventually final. And at the same time, it gives you enough time to mature your own processes that
Yes,
you're able to do it. I think very smart. Yeah.
And we come to know about the market,
Got it. So,
only CA Foundation.
so would you say, and rather an insight that I'm deriving is, don't be so aggressive at the start.
Yes.
Start small and then eventually
Always.
you grow. Got it.
Anything you do in business or life, you have to start that way only. I used to give example of Sachin Tendulkar. He has done world class batting, everybody knows.
Correct.
But look at every game. His start is very slow. He settles down and then he becomes aggressive.
And just if we speak about the economics, right, given you have like an overview of so many institutes, like a very healthy top line and bottom line, from a percentage point of view, what do good economics in a coaching class look like? If we look at say like top line, then gross margin, then your marketing costs, all your fixed costs, and then like EBITDA and PAT. I mean, just from a percentage point of view, what's an ideal number at a steady state according to you? Like from a percentage point of view, gross margins and then other costs.
See, I'll tell you. Again, it cannot be standardized because in different markets, different competition,
Correct.
different price points, and we have to compete accordingly. But if I restate your question and answer it, then almost 99% probability I can tell you that we break even in first 6 months wherever we open new branch.
Oh,
Yeah. We don't require even full year to break even.
really?
Yeah. So right from the first year we make profit.
Wow.
Yes, one or two exceptions are there.
Which is fine.
Like I'm very frankly, if I tell you, Surat, for example. So we have yet to make profit after 10 years.
Okay.
Every year we have made losses.
Okay.
We are working on it. That is also a learning process, and I'm not ashamed of saying this. And I told you, we are not number one also.
Yeah.
But if you keep aside that branch or maybe a branch or two like that, almost always in first 6 months we break even.
Wow.
There is CA Foundation one batch. Those students come in inter, we start making profit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I want to double click on this. I'm assuming Surat has been the toughest market for you. What do you think are reasons for it?
Well, so what matters is in Surat, right from beginning, we made some mistakes, right? We entered into some arrangement with someone. I'm not criticizing. It was not his mistake, by the way, my mistake only. It did not work. So then we had to change. When change happens, new challenges. Because by then market already has formed some opinion about your brand, you know. And this is not to take away from the plus points of competition. Naturally, because they were and are really doing well,
Yeah.
that we are still number 2 or number 3 there. So exclusively we made mistakes. This year is the first year where on a firefighting basis some actions we have taken. Personally, I have involved myself also. And I'm confident this is going to be the first year where we will make profit.
Oh, wow.
But if you ask me, shall we become number one? No. It will still take at least 2 to 3 years time for us to reach there. Shall we ever reach? Yes. But when? No idea.
So, and I must thank you, by the way, for being so honest.
Yeah.
What I'm sensing right now is the maturity that this is business and we are bound to make mistakes.
Yes.
But we'll be honest about it to ourselves first and then
Yes.
take corrective actions. I think a lot of people at times live in denial, perhaps because they're slightly egoistic or perhaps they don't want to admit that they messed up. But I'm glad that you're very vocal about learning, continuously learning and understanding. So I think this is a big lesson for all of us who are watching this. So thank you so much for doing that. There is a tagline that's associated with you, commerce classes specialist. What do you think about that? Like how have you made yourself? I mean, they say when an activity is known by your brand's name, your brand is successful. Like it's a photocopier machine, but nobody says photocopy, they say Xerox. So like CA classes is JK Shah classes, right? How did you get there? Like what do you think is the secret ingredient here?
Same thing, like the quality we maintained. Based on that, the whole system, JKS is completely system driven. Because you can understand 100 centers cannot be run by individuals.
Yeah.
Different people going and teaching in different cities, different languages also, right? English only. But the students have different mother tongues.
Nuances are different, yeah.
So we have to handle differently. CA course is common, but the way students react is completely different, right? So one is our system. Based on that, we produce the result consistently.
Yeah.
See, once or twice you get the result, it is coincidental.
Yeah, yeah.
But consistently when you produce the result, we started this in 83.
Correct.
And first time only we got, the first rank at final CA. Right in 85 only.
Wow.
Where our students for the first time went for final CA.
Wow.
So, consistently when you produce the result, the brand name, you start making it. Using the same thing, then we added more and more courses, like company secretary.
Yeah.
And we produce rank holders there also.
Wow.
ICWA, that is Indian CMA you call it, We produce result there also. Result means in the last exam, first rank, our students secured.
Okay.
So the same system, same philosophy is working across. Then we introduced foreign courses. We got wonderful result there also.
Wow.
So it is the system which is time tested, which is being followed. And once you produce the result, students will come to you.
Yeah.
You know, result is something like this. They say like proof of the pudding is in the eating.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so exactly like that. Proof of efficacy of your coaching is ultimately in the
The
result.
results. You mentioned about how systems and policies have sort of helped you scale, right? If I were to ask you, what are 2 or 3 policies that have helped JK Shah classes to scale to about 100 centers in 41 cities? What are those like? Which are perhaps not there in the industry, or you've defined it for the industry? What are 2 or 3 with respect to faculty, with respect to students?
Yeah, I'll tell you, most of the coaching class owners, my competitors I'm talking about,
Yeah.
most of them are chartered accountants, and therefore I would say as intelligent as I have been, if not more even, right? What is required is vision and conviction that something is to be done, is doable also, and then you have to lay down a system
Correct.
to make it happen.
Correct.
So what I've done is not some rocket science, not some secret, not something which only I know. It's all common sense.
Correct.
Like faculty training, I told you. So what is new in that? What is new? There's nothing, some great idea is not there. But then somebody should think about it and create that idea
Got it.
and follow it. Same way, study material to be changed. Punctuality, completing syllabus on time, starting every lecture on time. You know, first time when we went to Ahmedabad, I mean, I was laughing at something. Some parents were coming and complaining that because you people are starting lectures timely, my child is missing out first half an hour. Because child was used to coming late at other coaching classes. That
Yeah.
was common.
Yeah.
We were very happy that it is working now.
Sir, we're moving to the second half of the interview, and I want to switch gears a little with respect to you as an individual, right? I see and I hear that you do a lot of philanthropy. Education is something which is very close to your heart. I heard about one of the hostels that you run in Gujarat as well. I think it is slightly aligned with principles of Jainism also.
Yeah.
So speak to us a little about what Jainism means to you and how do you exercise it practically in your life.
Well, it's not very right thing to talk about philanthropy, etc.
Okay.
But still, some idea if I give. So it is in 2 parts. One is education, and other is other than education. Education. So in Mumbai and outside, there are so many trusts, you know, NGOs you may call them. Most of them, with exception of I think 1 or 2, are Jain trust. So they are helping poor students. So we entered into understanding with them. They approached us that our trust is giving donation. JK Shah Classes should also help out. So we said fundamentally, very right thing. And because I myself have studied entirely on charity,
Yeah.
this is somewhat like giving back also.
Correct.
So with all the trust, we have understanding that 1/3 fees you pay, trust pays, 1/3 student pays, and balance 1/3 JKC gives discount.
Wow.
So 3 partners, you know. When trust pays 1/3, it means trust will do filtering process.
Correct.
Only deserving people.
Correct.
So simply you write a note like you give discount, we don't honor.
Yeah.
But you are also pumping out money, 1/3.
Yeah.
Of course, for trust it is loan they treat.
Correct.
And a student who learns, studies on charity, eventually becomes a moneyed man, would always give it back.
Correct.
For us, it is pure discount only.
Correct.
Now, 1/3 is not even our profit margin.
Yeah.
But we said this has to be done.
Yeah.
indirectly we do get benefit also. Why? When these students eventually pass the exams. Of course, they first say thanks to the trust,
Yeah.
but they remember us also.
Yeah.
That yes, I got scholarship, because of that I could do it. And directly or indirectly, they all become our brand ambassadors. That again helps us build up goodwill further.
Yeah.
They also, because they're chartered accountants after that.
Yeah.
So they also feel, let me send 2-3 students to JK Shah classes.
Got it.
Give good recommendation. Partly because they have seen how we deliver.
Correct.
Secondly, some sense of gratitude.
Yeah.
That yes,
I've benefited from.
yeah, so it is working very well.
Got it.
Almost 30-35 trusts of that kind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Outside Jain community also there is Lohana Parishad, Lohana Mahaparishad. So across India at all branches, we give them discount.
Wow.
The trust has to first pay, balance we pay, you know. So it is working very well. The discount runs into few crore rupees every year,
Wow.
but it gives me immense satisfaction also.
course.
In fact, when we did Veranda deal, I had put a condition
That this will continue
that
to.
this should continue,
Wow.
and they happily said yes, it will continue.
Wow.
It goes. So we are happy to do it. Somebody helped me,
Correct.
so it's payback time you may call
Yeah.
it, give back time you can
Yeah.
call it, and ultimately you're benefited. It's not just philosophy; it is you get back somewhere. You know,
Yeah.
so many students' goodwill,
Yeah.
the goodwill of the trust. Now, most of the giant trust I spoke about in Mumbai, most of them are run as trustees
Yeah.
by chartered accountants only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So those chartered accountants also become our torch bearers
Yeah.
unknowingly and unintentionally. You know, most of them were our students also. So it's a wonderful ecosystem, so to say.
Yeah.
You know, where one part helps the other part in the system, and we produce the result.
Got it. Yeah. So this is about education, and you said there is non-education side also.
There, you know, I run a trust in the name of my parents and parents-in-law,
Okay.
where I have made huge donation, the interest, plus every month I make donation, and we feed roughly 850 poor families in Mumbai
Wow.
every month.
Wow.
They are poor but not beggars. Some
Correct.
of them are widows. Some of them are aged people whose children have not been doing what they should have been doing. But they are at that stage in life where there is nobody to hold their hand.
Correct. They need support.
And it's very small thing we are doing, but we are doing it.
Wow.
Yes.
Very commendable, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Thank you.
for doing that. And I think what I'm hearing from you, and I'm picking up a lot of values for myself as well, right? The honesty, the willingness to give it back, because in some form or the other, even you're a beneficiary of somebody's help, right? If I were to ask you, what are 3 qualities that make JK Shah the man? What would you define that to be?
3 qualities.
Yeah, of yourself.
So one is definitely thorough honesty, which is not negotiable point. Anything that you think is wrong, don't do it. But I don't allow other people to judge what is right and wrong. So one is honesty. The other is seriousness of the purpose, you can say. You should be completely convinced about what you are doing, and you should seriously do everything to achieve it.
High conviction.
Yes. And third is, as I told you already, do something which is to help out the other side. That's the only way to help yourself.
So you also mentioned about, like, when we were speaking about the qualities that make you who you are, right? I think it's a lot to do with how the entire CA curriculum is also designed. And you've seen changes, right, as a CA student yourself to 40 years of teaching CA students, right? How have things evolved? Because a recent trend that I've seen is people are now scared of, pursuing CA. I mean, how have things evolved, and why do you think that is the case?
Yes, I'll tell you, you are very right. Students are really very scared now. Scared of what? I'll tell you, there are two things. One is lack of confidence, self-confidence. And second is the fear of failing. In CA exam, when the result is around 10%, one has to understand that 90% people will have to try one more time,
Yeah.
right? I had written one LinkedIn post also that at least 80% of the chartered accountants now must have failed at least once. It's not some shameful thing to happen.
Yeah.
You should not be ashamed of it, right? I have written about myself also LinkedIn post.
Yes. Interview.
It's common thing.
Yeah.
With only 10% probability, it is failing that is common, not passing without failing. But today's generation do not want to fail.
Yeah.
They would rather not try than try and fail, which is a very big problem.
Yeah.
And in the bargain, they are losing out like anything. Then they settle for the courses which are relatively easier
Yeah.
and a brighter chance of passing, but they don't realize that the course which is easy to pass is that much less valuable also.
Correct. Correct.
And if you have ability, why don't you give it a shot? The social media also is playing its role which goes against this generation. They all are heavily into social media.
Correct.
They want, once the result is out, they want to post their mark sheet on the social media. And then they are worried, supposing if I fail, then what?
Yeah.
It's a vicious circle.
Yeah. The peer
created.
pressure is a lot. Yeah.
Lot. They should stop comparing themselves with anybody else and they should fail. They should face the situation, then most people will make it.
Would you say this is also to some level reflection of the Indian education system, wherein people only think about marks and okay, if I don't pass this exam, I'm a failure, right? I mean, my question to you is: do you think Indian education system is broken in some ways? And if yes, what are those, and what can we do to fix them?
See, you cannot say that education system has failed this and that. If you say improvement is required, reforms are possible, reforms are required, absolutely yes. But not that system is gone, this, that, that, nothing. It has worked so well for so many decades,
yeah.
right? It has stood the test of time. Improvement is required, reforms are required,
Got it.
right? But otherwise our system is so robust, so strong. It churns out the people. You look at and I came to know once I became active on LinkedIn, I look at the profile of all those people who are following me, where and where they have reached. Believe me, Gaurav, they all were ordinary when they were students. Not many of them were like Kushal Lodha. Not many.
Yeah.
Only 5% of them might be of Kushal's category.
Yeah.
95% or at least 80-85% were of my category. Very average students. They worked hard. But look at where they are now.
Correct.
It will open up the eyes of today's generation if they look at the profile of the people on LinkedIn, chartered accountants, where they have reached, what they have achieved. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's not just accounting job or only CFO job. So many are CEOs, so many are running multinationals,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Like recently Sanjay Mehta sir retired.
Yes.
HUL CEO he was.
Such a large company. Yeah.
So this generation needs to learn. Education system requires reform certainly, but you can't blame education system
Correct.
for the way today's generation is thinking.
I think very fair. And something that you answered in this, there are two parts, and I want to pick one after the other. You mentioned about like a lot of CAs who've done well. One of them, incidentally, was also your student who happens to be our honorable minister today.
Yes.
Shri Piyush Goyal.
Yes.
They say, and it's actually a phrase in Marathi, and if with your permission, I would want to use it. की मुलाचे लक्षण पाळण्यातच दिसतात. What means that the
Yes.
potential of a student
Got
are
it.
seen. You've taught him then, right? Would you say he had that kind of potential back then as well? And if there is a particular story you'd like to tell us about him?
Oh, yeah. He was exactly a mini version of what he is now. What I seen him in the classroom.
Yeah.
First of all, he was exceptionally brilliant, and the proof is he secured All India second rank at
Yeah.
final. But that was after the coaching was over. While in the class, the way he would argue, the way he would answer the questions, something amazing. One of the very few I would always remember. Not just because he's a minister now. He's
correct.
minister for last 10 years only.
Correct.
But we were always in touch. Always in touch. So I observed that only. I observed that. Very good thinker. And some of the other qualities, very down to earth person. Respecting the teacher, respecting his parents. I have personally seen all these things.
Yeah.
I've seen all these things.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and
The way he would argue with me in the classroom. So jocularly many a times I told the people that when I see them in the parliament arguing
yeah.
or in an interview,
Yeah.
I just go back to that year 1986 and I can only feel sorry for that other side because what they are now facing is what I faced
Yeah.
so many years back. So, yeah, Piyush, remarkable achievement.
Yeah,
Remarkable.
yeah. And I mean, of course, I've listened to him a few times, and I'm glad we have such good leaders in our country as well, right? So that was one about, you spoke about a few of the CAs who've done amazingly well. The second one that I want to speak to you is slightly personal to you. I think a second innings of yours of sorts has started, especially with the social media world. Tell us a little about like LinkedIn, how you got started, and what are your plans with LinkedIn and perhaps with other social media as well.
So, the second part of your question, other social medias? No.
Okay, no plans as of
No,
now.
I'm very happy with only one.
Okay.
The object, I don't want to derive anything from this, but I'm enjoying like anything.
Wow.
Why enjoying? When I started, I started in maybe April, May 23 or so, I don't remember. But I became active only in February 24.
Okay.
First post I put only in February 24. So in this February, and this is now July,
Correct.
you can say about 4.5 months or so, and good response I got. Especially the very first post, which was looking very ordinary, and I was just taking baby steps that time.
Correct.
Still I'm taking baby steps. I don't claim that I become master, but the kind of response I'm getting,
Yeah.
I'm getting connected with the people whom I taught some 35 years, 40 years
Yeah.
back, 30 years back. Their incidences they narrate in the comment. The number of comments I'm getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm enjoying like anything. Since I have unlimited time at my disposal, I think this is the right way to remain engaged and use my time. So I'm thoroughly enjoying.
Nice.
I'm thoroughly enjoying.
Yeah. And I think so for me also, it's a very good way to know about your life in general. The comment section that you're mentioning about, I think one of the posts that I saw which had like a lot of these comments was you start your class at 7 o'clock sharp and then you're like, only after I'm done with the first point will I allow you, right? And
Yeah.
this one time you said that my first point will go on for 45 minutes.
Yes.
So either you come at 7 o'clock or 7:45 and there were like flood of comments where people were recounting these instances.
Yeah.
So I think the true use of social media was to connect with people.
Yes.
And I think for you, given like 40 years of teaching so many students, it's a very good way for you to connect with them also.
In the same post, I had written one more thing, that once I start, students will have to wait out.
Yes.
And inside the bracket, I had written that many of the readers of this post also could have been at the receiving end.
Yes.
That part also tickled many.
Yeah. And it shows in the comment section also people mentioning, oh yeah, that happened with me. I just want to end with one very fundamental question that is in front of our country with respect to education and Edtech in general. And then we'll move on to a fun section, which is rapid fire. What is your point of view on Edtechs? I mean, we've seen a few of them doing well, but a few of them, I mean, sort of not keeping up the dignity of education as a sector, right? I mean, I don't want to name names. I'm sure you are able to understand what I'm referring to. What do you think about Edtech? Like, is it the right way of education, given you've taught for 40 years? And while, of course, we should be using tech in education, what is your point of view on how it is run today and what can be done differently?
So this question I have faced number of times, and my answer remains the same. That there are two options for the students: the physical coaching and the class and the online coaching, tech based, right?
Yeah.
I would say whoever is lucky enough to have physical classroom coaching, that is the best way to learn. You know, we human beings are social animals.
Yeah.
We need to connect, you know. Like you take your example, today's interview, you could have taken online also,
Yeah.
right? Why you have come down from Bangalore to Mumbai
Yeah.
and to my home, same thing you might have achieved, almost same.
Yeah.
But that kind of touch we get
Correct.
would not be there.
Correct.
So physical coaching was, is and will always remain the best way. The next best definitely is online. Our country is still very big country with very limited resources.
Yeah.
So in small towns and villages, there is no physical coaching also, or not good quality. Surely online coaching for them.
Got it.
But they should, in fact, online coaching people have the greater ability to deliver better quality education, because one single faculty can reach out everywhere,
Yeah.
which luxury we don't have.
Yeah.
And if still we are able to maintain quality, they should be able to.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate that not everywhere that has happened, but it should happen. The other things you spoke about, those are the financial compulsions, the basic defect in their business model, overcommitment to the investors,
Yeah.
and then they have to make it up by making some other mistakes.
Yeah.
In fact, all edtech platforms have now realized, those who are only into online coaching, they have started now creating
Offline centers.
physical centers also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they also have understood. And I am at loss to understand why students have not realized this, that the people who are predominantly online coaching people, they have started opening
Offline center.
offline centers. That means it shows what is the best.
Yeah.
But I would say physical coaching remains number one, should be given a priority. There is other advantage of compulsory study. Physical coaching means student has to sit down in classroom
Yeah.
at a particular time, disciplined study.
Yeah.
Online means anytime you can study.
Yeah.
Now students take that as benefit, that I can study anytime. They don't realize that any time means actually at no time, because there is no
Yeah.
compulsion.
Correct.
There's no compulsion.
Correct. And just one more question, honestly, I want to ask you, because it's very fundamental to how businesses are run. Even you had external investors, but still you built a very sustainable business. I've heard of a few instances where there were other educational institutes which had external investors, didn't do that well. So how did you hold your ground, or what's your advice to, even if you have external investors, how do you run a business?
So the first point is doing the right kind of deal. Investors want to invest. They can ask for anything. You should have courage to put your foot down, thinking clearly as to what is deliverables, only that much you promise. For example, our private equity investor was there in 2012. They did ask for some commitment as regards IRR,
Correct.
internal rate of return.
Correct.
I said that I will not give.
Okay.
I said you are equity investor, not debenture investor. If you want that type of guarantee, go to bank or become debenture holder. Why are you here to be equity holder?
Correct.
Equity holder means you have to take risk. And I am having 71%, you are 29%. As long as I am my own well-wisher, I will try to increase the profit.
Yeah.
Not to increase your 29%, but my 71%.
Correct.
And by default, your investment value will increase. My private equity instantly understood, accepted, so I had no moral tension or legal tension that I had to deliver something. We did veranda deal.
Correct.
No such commitment as to what we will achieve. But we are 24% holders.
Correct.
So, and we are in the driver's seat. So as long as we are our own well-wishers, we become your well-wishers.
Yeah.
And we have proven that.
Correct.
I'll give you one example without, of course, taking name. And since you come from science background, you'll be able to figure out who I'm talking about. There is one science coaching institute. They got private equity investor. Investor demanded some minimum return. This science institute agreed to give. And supposing they do not give that much, then the deficit part becomes debt by investor to that person, proprietor.
Oh, okay.
Result, today, more than 150 crore rupees per annum is the interest on that debt that coaching institute's proprietor has to pay.
That's such a big personal liability.
Yeah.
That's
You should never enter into this kind of deal, first of all. It makes your model very weak. It cripples you down. You cannot perform. But private equity people should understand, and promoters should understand, that they have to tell them that you are investors, you are equity investors. So the basic rule is there is risk associated with equity.
correct.
You
Correct.
may not perform despite your best effort.
Yeah.
So there one has to be very careful. And when you are greedy, you think, let me take investment,
Extra valuation.
or you are overconfident about yourself, you become blind to the negative situations to come up in future, then it is death sentence to your organization. We must never do wrong deal.
Correct.
Yes, right deal will come. If it does not come, wait until then. But it has to be right deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. I think lots of lessons for people who run businesses at scale, and if they are particularly in this kind of an arrangement where there's an external investor, get the terms right.
Yes.
And if it's an equity investment, understand that it can be risky. So don't overcome it or don't get into a situation which can be, fatal later to some sense, right? Sir, thank you so much. These were like the long form questions. We do have the last section, which is more rapid fire. So
Sure.
Try not to think too much.
Let
Whatever
me be
comes.
ready now.
Try to answer whatever comes to the top of your mind.
Yes.
What is an unknown hobby? What is an unknown hobby of Mr JK Shah? Lesser known.
Lesser known.
Lesser known or unknown to the larger crowd?
Playing cards.
Playing
Playing cards.
cards. Oh, you
Yeah.
like? Oh, very
Yes,
nice.
yes.
What's your favorite game?
Tin patti.
Oh, very
Yeah.
nice.
And I play at least 2-3 times in a year. And the last I played last week only in Ahmedabad with all my faculties.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I lost 1,300 rupees.
Okay, that's a lesser known thing about Mr. JK Shah. What is your favorite spot in Mumbai?
In Mumbai,
Yeah.
no sport.
No spot?
No.
Okay.
I love Wimbledon.
Okay. No, spot, place, favorite.
Sport, you
Yeah,
say?
yeah. So
I thought
I'll re-ask the question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place in Mumbai?
Yeah, spot or place in Mumbai. I think my home and this terrace which you can see, that swing.
Yeah, we'll perhaps show
Yeah.
a shot of this
Yes,
while we go.
yes.
Okay. If not for teaching, what is a career you would excel in?
Maybe I would have been practicing as a chartered accountant, but the way things have happened in my life, I think I was destined to be a teacher only.
Got it. Okay. I also have heard and rather seen from your LinkedIn post that you like to travel.
Yeah.
What is the best place you have visited till date?
Switzerland,
Okay.
yeah. And maximum number of times I visited that country only.
Okay. You've liked it so much that you've revisited.
Like
so
so
many times.
much. And the next highest number is Maldives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I've also heard you're fond of cars. Which is your favorite car?
No, I'm not fond of cars. My children are fond of cars.
Okay.
So I don't have anything like favorite car, no.
Okay.
In fact, which car on a particular day I travel by is decided only by my driver,
Okay.
depending on which car has not run for 2-3 days.
Okay. Okay. Uh, a book that you've learned the most from?
Yeah, there are 2-3 books in fact.
Okay.
The first book which impressed me the most was Think and Grow
Yeah.
by Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
Superlative book. Then Dale Carnegie,
Yes.
you know, how to win the friends and influence
Influence.
the people.
Yes.
He has written one more book, Art of Public Speaking.
Okay.
Yeah. Then Donald Trump, who was US President,
Yeah.
he had written one book, in fact, 2 books.
Okay.
One, Trump on Trump, and the other, Art of Negotiation.
Okay.
Classic books.
Really?
Yeah. And 2 more books, still I will tell you.
Yeah.
One was Positive Mental Attitude. I forgot the name of the author, American author. He was a priest in the church. He had
Okay.
written, but I don't remember the name now. And the last, Art of Selfishness. Look at the title,
Yeah.
Art of Selfishness.
Yeah.
It teaches you the best lessons of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think all of us will make a note of these books, and whichever ones we haven't read, we'll read it. Again, this is more on the economy. Your bet for the year in which India will reach $5 trillion in GDP.
No idea, absolutely.
Okay. But if you were to take a guess, any year.
Really no idea,
Okay.
absolutely no idea. And I don't look into those areas.
Okay.
You would be surprised to know in my whole life, I have never ever studied a single budget of government of India.
No?
In initial part of my life, because I had no money, so I did not. And now I have money, but anyway, my reading doesn't help.
Okay.
So I'm not into that. No, I have no idea.
Interesting. Your favorite instrument of investing, if you were to choose from one of these asset classes, equity, bonds, gold, real estate, say startup investing, which is your preferred instrument of investing?
Real estate and bonds.
Okay.
Fixed. I mean, very conservative I am. Yeah.
Okay. But and a question to you, are real estate rates rising so high in Mumbai for you?
No. But when I invest, my objective is not to so much about the return on investment. It is return of investment. So the safety cover.
Okay.
See, my main source of income is my business.
Correct.
So here, whatever I have earned has to remain safe.
Preserved is. Okay.
Secondly, whenever there is fluctuation, if you invest, say, on equity, I have invested very small part, maybe less than 5% even.
Okay.
Not even 5%, what 5%, less.
Okay.
But the people who predominantly put in equity, their mind remains focused on investment only.
Yeah.
Anxiety remains.
Yeah.
And it takes your focus away from your main business.
Got it.
My thinking was clear that investment is only for safety of capital more than return on capital.
Makes sense.
Happy.
Okay.
So RBI bonds, HDFC housing bonds. I mean, these are very safe things
Got it.
and I enjoy.
Got it. So for you, more than growing wealth, it's wealth preservation that is
Yes.
top priority. Okay.
Yes.
If you were to wish one thing was different about your personality, what would that be?
One thing different about my personality.
Yeah. I mean, whenever we introspect, we are like, oh, I wish I was, say, more adventurous, or I wish I was more, mujhe gussa kam aata. Just examples. If there is one thing that you've thought about.
Yeah, like getting angry is very common trait of all human beings.
Yeah.
So people who say they never become angry, they are bluffing actually. Only thing is their control.
Yeah, they control.
Because
yeah.
that is a common emotion God has put in every human
Correct.
being. And I also have my fair share of getting angry.
Right.
So definitely I can say, yeah, that could have been less.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you ever act in a movie? Yes. or
Not at all, not at all.
no? In your own biography?
In fact, nobody will even take a risk also.
Okay. No, I mean because there was Super 30, which was about like a lot
Yeah.
of the IIT coaching in the underprivileged path. So from that point of view, okay. And just one last thing, what is your message to students? Given you've interacted with students for more than 40 years, what is that one mantra you go back to and tell students?
If I tell a few things, yeah, it's a good question. The best one is this one. Students are now at that stage in life where they are truly in driver's seat and they can decide what their career could be of next 40, 50 years. For that, first think properly, make the right decisions, don't do anything wrong, don't be influenced by all negative things happening around you, all bad habits. We hear every day something happening.
Yeah.
And last but not the least, in fact the most vital, ensure that you keep on respecting your parents and listen to them completely, because you do not have anyone as genuine and strong a well-wisher as your parents are.
Yes.
So respect them.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, I mean, these were largely our questions. Thank you so much for giving us the time and your valuable
Thanks a
knowledge.
lot. Thanks. I really enjoyed thoroughly.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes.